Hi everyone. In our previous video, we talked all about the theory behind test-driven development, what it is, how it works, and why it matters in agile and DevOps environments. If you haven't seen that yet or want a refresher, I have dropped the link in the description below. Feel free to check that out first if you are new to TDD. Now, in this video, we are going to take that theory and put it into practice, step by step, by building something useful with TDD. Imagine you are working as a network automation engineer at a mid-sized company. Your team is building a script that pulls device IPs from a CSV file or a netbox inventory to configure or monitor routers and switches. But here is the problem. Not every IP in the list is guaranteed to be valid, or some may have accidentally typed 300.100.50.25, which isn't a valid IP address. Now you could write the logic directly and hope for the best, but instead you decide to use test-driven development to build a more reliable, testable tool. So your job is to build a Python module that checks if an IPv4 address is valid before the script tries to use it in an automation or device config. But instead of starting with the actual function, we will start with the tests. So we will define all the rules. For example, what does a valid IP look like? What happens if there are too many octets? What if there are letters instead of numbers? And finally, what if an octet is greater than 255 or 255? So we will build those tests first inside a file called test IP validator class.py. Then we will go and write the logic inside a class, and the class will be called IP validator, and this will be stored in a file called ipvalidator.py, and that will make sure that each test passes. Finally, we will let the user run the script through main.py, where they can enter an IP address and get a simple message whether it's valid IP address or invalid IP address. So by the end of this lab, you will not only understand how the TDD lifecycle works, but you will also be able to walk away with a tool you can actually use in your network automation tasks. Alright, so I have already created 3 Python scripts ahead of time. They are mostly ready to go with just a few minor tweaks that I will make during the demo. I have done this to save time typing, but don't worry, I will explain each section in details as we go. So as you can see from the output of the tree command, we have the 3 files in this directory. We have the ipvalidator.py, the main.py, and also we have the test ipvalidator class.py. So here is how we are going to approach this. We will start by walking through the test IP validator class file, where we have written a series of tests to validate whether an IP address is properly formatted or not. We will then run the test suite first, and as expected in TDD, it should fail since we haven't implemented the logic yet. Next, we will move on to the IP validator module, where we will build out the actual validation logic inside a class. And our goal here is to make sure the code we write satisfies the test case we just defined. And finally, we will wrap things up by looking at the main.py, where we give users the ability to enter their own IP address. So the script will take that input and check whether it's a valid IPv4 address or not. And then it will provide a simple result back to the user. Okay, so before we actually go through the scripts, let's first discuss the use case related to validating IPs before device configuration, for example. So you are a network automation engineer working for a managed service provider. Your job is to automate the deployment of new network devices for multiple clients, routers, switches, and firewalls. So you'll be using a Python-based tool that configures devices over SSH or API. And one of the most common problems is that engineers accidentally input invalid IP addresses. So for example, 192.168.999.1 into YAML or CSV inventory files. And if this incorrect data gets pushed to devices, it can cause configuration failure and disrupt network reachability. Also, it can break routing protocols and trigger expensive downtime. So to prevent this, you decide to build an input validator that checks IPs before any config gets pushed. And because you want to be robust, maintainable, and testable, you follow the test-driven development approach. So at this point, what we would need to do, we would need to create a Python module that will define all the rules for our tests. So we create the test IP validator.python, as you can see on the screen on the right-hand side. So the first thing that we need to do, we will need to import all the libraries and all the modules that will be used for this script. So we are going to say import unit test, and this line imports Python's built-in unit test module, which is part of the standard library. It gives us all the tools we need to write and run unit tests. So a unit test is basically a small and focused check that makes sure a specific piece of code behaves as expected. The next line is importing the IP validator class from another Python file called ipvalidator.py. This is the actual code we want to test. It contains the logic that checks if a given string is a valid IPv4 address or not. Our test file depends on this, so we need to bring it in. Next, we are defining a test class called testIPValidator, and it inherits all objects and methods from unittest.testCase. This is the standard way to structure your tests in Python. Next, we are going to create a function or a method called setup, and this method is a special method in unit testing. It runs automatically before each individual test. In this case, we are creating an instance of the IPValidator class and storing it in self.validator so that we can reuse it in every test without repeating ourselves. The next method is our first actual test method. The name testValidIPv4 clearly tells us what we are checking. Inside, we are using assert true, which means we expect the result to be true. We are passing a correct IPv4 address, such as 192.168.1.1, into our validator and expecting it to confirm it's valid. The next one, we are testing an IP address that includes letters, which obviously is invalid. We are using assert false to say we expect the validator to return false for this one. This test checks whether the code can correctly catch a format error in the IP. The next method, we have provided a number that it's out of the allowed range for the IP addresses. So each octet of an IPv4 address must be between 0 and 255. And here we have put 256, which is invalid. So again, we expect the validator to return false. The next method is to check whether the function can detect an IP that is missing one octet. A proper IPv4 address has 4 octets like 10.10.10.10, and here we only give it 3. So it should fail validation, so we expect false. And then finally, we are creating the final method where we passing an IP address that has 5 octets instead of 4. Again, it should be flagged as invalid and the validator should return false. So at this point, that marks our end of our class. And then after that, this is the final part in our code where it allows the test file to run on its own when executed directly from the command line. And the unit test.main looks for all methods that starts with test underscore and runs them. The verbosity flag just means we want more detailed output. It will show the name of each test and whether it passed or failed. That's the whole test file. Each test is designed to catch a specific case, valid or invalid. This is the perfect example of applying test-driven development because we write these tests first, let them fail, and then write the logic to make them pass. So with that being said, let's shift our focus to the file on the left-hand side, which is the ipvalidator.py. So again, in this file, we starting by creating or defining a class called ipvalidator. This is our custom class that will eventually contain the logic to check whether a given string is a valid IPv4 address. Think of this class as the brain behind the validation. It's where we put all our decision-making code. So inside the class, we define a method called isValidIPv4address, which takes a single argument that is the IP. And of course, this is the string that we want to check, like 192.168.1.1. The method is meant to return true if the IP address is valid and false if it's not. This is the function our tests are calling, and right now it's just a placeholder. So at the moment, this method is doing nothing. The pass statement is a Python placeholder that tells the interpreter, don't crash, I will write this part later. This is a common step in TDD where we define the structure of the function first, let our test fail, and then come back to write just enough logic to make it pass. Now, let's look at the commented out section below, as this is the logic where we will eventually use to validate the IP address. So this line splits the input string into parts using the dot as a separator. So for example, 192.168.1.1 becomes a list, and the first element of the list would be 192, the second element would be 168, and the third element would be 1, and the fourth element would be 1, as showing in the screen. If a user enters a mail-formed IP like 10.10 and that's it, or apc.def.ghi.jkl, this split step helps us detect that early. Here we are checking if the IP address is made up of exactly 4 parts. So if it's not, like 10.10.10, you can see it's only 3 octets or 3 parts, or 1.1.1.1.1, 5 parts or 5 octets, we know it's invalid and we immediately return false. After that, we loop through each octet in the IP address so we can validate every chunk individually. This is the part that makes sure every octet follows the rules. So this condition checks whether each part contains only digits. If the octet contains any non-numeric character like ABC or 1A, it's not a valid IP address, so we return false. And then after that, if the part is all digits, we then convert it from a string to an integer, so we can do a numerical check on it. This allows us to evaluate whether the value is within the valid range for IPs. Now we check whether the numeric value is between 0 and 255. The IPv4 address must follow this rule. Each octet must be in that range. If even one part is out of bounds, like 300 or -1, we return false. Finally, if the IP address has 4 parts, all of them are numeric, and all numbers are within the valid range, then we return true. That means this IP address passed every test we have set up for it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and run our test module and take a look at the output. And just to let you know, we expect the test to fail at this point since we haven't implemented the logic yet. As you can see on the screen, we have conducted 5 tests and it failed as we expected. Okay, so now that we have failed our test, since we haven't created the logic, let's go ahead and uncomment our logic and test our code accordingly. So now I'm going to repeat the test again. And of course it failed again because we haven't saved the file. So I'm going to go ahead and save the file. Go back to my CLI and repeat the test. And now you can see that the test has passed. So now that we have tested our logic and confirmed it works, we can then confidently use it in a script that allows users to manually input an IPv4 address. The script will then check and let them know whether the address is valid or not. So with that being said, let's shift our focus into the main.py file and let's examine the code. So again, we start by importing modules and libraries that we need for this script. So the first line indicates that we are importing the IP validator class from the IP validator py file. This is the same class where we wrote our validation logic earlier. By importing it here, we can use the functionality in this script without repeating ourselves. The next block of code is the main function. As you can see on the screen, this defines our main function, the central place where the script will run when the user starts the program. It keeps our code organized and make it reusable and testable later if needed. So inside the function, here we create an instance of the IP validator class. So the validator object gives us access to the isValidIPv4 method we wrote earlier in the class, so we can actually check if the IP address entered by users are valid or not. This line starts an infinite loop, which means the program will keep running until the user chooses to exit. We are using this to allow multiple IP checks in one session without restarting the script. Now we prompt the user to type in an IPv4 address. This input is then stored into a variable, and that variable is called IP. We also let the user know that they can type exit at any time to quit the program, which is a user-friendly touch. The next line, we create a conditional statement, and this statement checks whether the user typed exit or not. And if they did, we print a goodbye message and use break to exit the loop, effectively ending the script. script. And then after that, if the user didn't choose to exit, we then now validate the IP using our class. And if the IP is valid, we then show a friendly success message with a check icon, just a small way to make the user experience more enjoyable. And if the IP address is invalid, we then print a clear error message to the end user. This gives immediate feedback and helps users understand when something is wrong with the input format. And that concludes our main function. And then the next section is the final block, which is the standard Python entry point. As I explained it before, if you run the script directly, starts by calling the main function, and it makes sure our code doesn't run automatically if it's imported elsewhere, which is the best practice in Python. So in summary, this script ties everything together. It gives users an interactive way to test if IP addresses are valid using the logic we carefully built and tested through TDD. It loops continuously, handles exit gracefully, and gives friendly feedback, all while staying clean and modular. So with that being said, let's run the main.py script to interact with it and take a closer look at the output. So I'm going to say Python 3, and I'm going to call the name of the script, which is main.py. And then I'm going to hit enter. And here at this point, as you can see, it says enter an IPv4 address to validate or exit to quit. So the first test use case, I want to put a valid IP address. And in that case, I'm going to put 192.168.1.1. And as you can see, it passes, which is what we expect. Next, let's put an invalid IPv4 address that has more than 255 value. So I'm going to say 192.168.1.300. And as you can clearly see, the IPv4 address that we just entered is invalid IPv4 address. Next, let's introduce a letter in between the IPv4 address. So I would say 19a.168.1.1, and again it shows you that it's not valid IPv4 address. Now let's test an IP address with only 3 octets. So I'm going to say 192.168.1. Again, that's incorrect or invalid IPv4 address. Finally, I want to test an IP address with 5 octet. So that's going to be 192.168.1.1.1. And as you can see, this IP address is also invalid. So I'm going to hit exit, and that will terminate the script. So that's it for this video. I hope it was informative for you. And if you found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and turn notifications so you never miss our future tutorials and tech insights. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to drop a comment below. And to read more about this topic, be sure to check out my blog. You will find the link in the description below. And remember, consistency and hands-on practice are key to success. So stay curious, stay inspired, and until next time, peace.